is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Mark in the Park night, number 1 of the season here at Great American Ballpark. 600 or more dogs here in attendance tonight, along with their owners, and they'll all have a good time as the Reds and the Giants play the middle game of this 3-game series here on Fox Sports Ohio. And hi, everyone. Along with Chris Walsh and Jim Day, I'm Jim Kelch, and welcome on this Bark in the Park night on this bow-tied Tuesday night to Reds baseball. Reds try to get a win in this game tonight, and if they can do so, even up this series. Last night, Chris, we were lauding the return of Johnny Cueto to Cincinnati and wondering, could the Reds score against their former ace? Well, they showed that they could with that big third inning.
Well, they sure had a big third inning last night. They really hammered it on to Johnny Cueto. Cueto pitched pretty well other than that, but they got him out of the game quick. It just goes to show you that this offense can really click when it starts getting some hits. Joey Votto, obviously, with a big home run after a really good at-bat against Johnny Cueto. That was worth coming out to the ballpark and seeing just by itself. The question is whether the Reds can hold the lead when they get it.
Well, that's been a problem certainly this year. They had the 6-3 lead last night, ended up losing by the final score of 9-6. So they try to get even in this series here tonight. We thought when we left the air last night it would be the young right-hander John Moscott, but instead Moscott's shoulder's still barking at him, and that's a little play on words for tonight's game. And so instead, up from Louisville and making his first start of the year will be John Lamb.
Let's hope they're not serving lamb steaks for dinner here at GABP. Now, John Lamb, is excited about this. He told us in spring training that he was going to do everything he possibly could to get back on the active roster. He threw an outstanding game his last time out. 8 innings of 2 earned run baseball with 5 strikeouts. That's one of the best outings that anybody's pitched down there in Louisville all year long. He had a very interesting year last year for the Reds. He struck out more batters than innings pitched. So he's got life on his fastball, nice breaking ball, and a changeup. If it's all working tonight, he'll be a challenge for the Giants.
Now he will go against another newcomer in the Giants rotation, Jeff Samardzija.
Well, he shouldn't be a newcomer in your mind because you've seen this guy play football at the University of Notre Dame. You've also seen him pitch for the Cubs. Last year traded to the Oakland A's. He's a hard thrower with a good splitter and slider. He signed a long-term deal here with the San Francisco Giants, so they like him in this rotation. He figures about number 3 in the rotation right now. And again, if he's on his game, and he has been on his game so far this year, he will be a challenge for Reds hitters.
All right, so that's the pitching matchup tonight. John Lamb against Jeff Samardzija. We'll step aside. When we come back, we know this Giants team can hit. Jim Day tells us that the pitchers are included in that group as well.
Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good, it's Skyline time.
Another cool and cloudy night at the ballpark. Temperatures fall through the 50s and a few light showers possible for at least the beginning of the game. And after last night's giant letdown, hopefully we could pull out a win with John Lamb on the mound for the first time this season. Enjoy the game on Fox Sports Ohio.
I'm Jim Day on the field. This Giants team put up 9 runs on the board last night, and you've got to pay attention 1 through 9 in their order, because if you check out our IGS Bringing the Energy, their pitchers have been bringing the energy this year. Johnny Cueto, 2 RBI hit last night. These Giants pitchers have 11 runs driven in this season. That is tied with the production they have gotten out of their shortstop position and more RBIs than they've gotten out of their third base position. Jeff Samardzija, the pitcher tonight, can also swing the bat. A good athlete, as we know, the former wide receiver at Notre Dame. It's the return of John Lamb, lefty versus righty. Game 2 of a 3-game set. Reds and Giants on deck. Jim Kelch and Chris Welsh standing by with the call on Fox Sports Ohio.
Great American Ballpark, led by their starting pitcher tonight, young man John Lamb out of California. Those blonde locks flying, and he'll take the ball for the first time here in 2016. He'll face Bruce Bochy's club, and here's how they line up tonight. Denard Span will lead off. He'll play center field. Matt Duffy is at third. Buster Posey, the catcher. Hunter Pence in right. Brandon Belt at first. Brandon Crawford at shortstop, with Kelby Tomlinson at second. Gregor Blanco in left. Jeff Samardzija, the pitcher, does the 9-hole spot for San Francisco.
Well, John Lamb is one of the young guns that the Reds got in return for Johnny Cueto, and they traded him to the Kansas City Royals last year. 10 ball games. Look what he did, though. He struck out 58 batters in just 49 innings. So those are the kind of indicator numbers that people like to look at and say, hey, he could be a 200 strikeout a year pitcher if he stays healthy and keeps on that pace. Fastball, curveball, cutter, and changeup for Lamb is the way he's going to go about it. I don't know if he's got a pitch count. He did throw 8 innings his last time out. He's got to be a little bit nervous, but he's only 25 years old. He will not turn 26 until July. So the Reds are looking for John Lamb, not just tonight, but the long term, as this young left-hander gets better and better.
Well, you wouldn't think, though, would you, that he would have a pitch count? He did throw 104 pitches in that game for Louisville the last time out there.
Well, you're right, and obviously one of the things that the Red starters have had a hard time doing is keeping their pitch counts under control. You look up and they've thrown 100 pitches in 5 innings. Let's hope that Lamb attacks the strike zone like Tim Adelman did the other day and keep that pitch count under control.
The Lamb is ready to go. So is the leadoff man, Denard Span, the center fielder of the Giants. We hope you enjoy the broadcast of Reds baseball tonight here on Fox Sports Ohio. First pitch is in there for a called strike, and we are underway. Last night here at the ballpark, it was 63. Tonight, 58 degrees as we get it started. And quickly in the hole, no balls and 2 strikes. He talked about that start Lamb made his last time out, 8 innings, 2 runs, 8 hits. It came on the heels of a terrible numbers start. Brian Price alluded to the fact that he didn't like the fact that it appeared as if Lamb did not compete in the start he made against Indianapolis on the 22nd of April.
And I imagine that John Lamb had either had those words relayed to him or read those in some clips that he picked up and got motivated the next start. He was lights out, as you see right there.
And that was the last start. Start before that, 9 runs, 11 hits in 2 2/3, and a 13-1 loss against the Indianapolis Indians, the Pirates AAA club.
You know, Lamb doesn't have an overpowering fastball. He doesn't have a killer breaking ball, but it's a combination of some pretty good stuff. His fastball is sneaky, and he's got a nice long stride towards home, and he's close when he releases the ball. And that gives him a little sneakiness. That's how I've always thought is the difference between a pitcher who looks exactly like the miles per hour that he's throwing and those pitchers that throw seemingly just a little bit harder than the radar gun reads.
He gets a perfect location pitch right there on the inside corner and sends Denard Span, who rarely strikes out, back to the dugout. And that's how this one starts.
Now, this is a front door cutter. 89 miles an hour. It has a tendency to go towards the hitter at first and then cut back towards the plate, almost acting like a slider, but a very tight slider, and that's a good spot for Lamb and a good way to get it going.
Well, he'll deal now with the third baseman of the Giants, Matt Duffy. Comes in at 252 with a couple of home runs. He's driven in 9. Hitless in the game last night. He went 0 for 4. In the air, first base side and foul. Votto and Phillips, and Votto didn't have a good angle at it at all, but stayed with it. And Duffy is out number 2. Take a look at the Reds defensively, brought to you by your Ford dealers. They line up like this. Across the outfield, Duvall, Hamilton, and Bruce. In the infield, Suarez, DeJesus left side, Phillips, Votto right side. Battery of John Lamb and Tucker Barnhart. 2 quick outs. The batter is Buster Posey. Posey had a base hit in the first inning last night. One of the 2 hits he picked up, 2 for 4, scored a run. Also was on base a 3rd time with a walk. Posey starts the game at 294, 4 home runs. He's driven in 8. Giants trying to make it 3 wins in a row. They won the finale in New York on Sunday. They won here last night. Ball hammered into the left field corner, and that ball hits the base of the wall on the fly. Duvall will get it back in, and Posey is into second base with a 2-out double. So he does the same thing tonight that he did last night, a 2-out base hit here in the first.
Well, they did it on an 0-2 count. I'm not really sure what John Lamb was trying to do with this pitch. Maybe come up and in. But if you're going to miss your spot on Buster Posey, best to miss out of the strike zone somewhere. He's very lucky that ball didn't get knocked out of the ballpark. Guy can hit. I mean, he just simply can flat out hit, and he's very good when you get the ball above the waist.
Third double for Posey, and now a chance for Hunter Pence to give the Giants the early lead in this game. Pence hitting a very robust .375 with runners in scoring position. Last night the Giants 6 out of 18 in the RZP situations, and they're one of the top 4, actually now one of the top 3 in the National League in that department. Down the left field side by Pence. That'll give the Giants the early lead. Posey will score. Back-to-back doubles after the first 2 are retired, and San Francisco takes an early 1-0 lead.
Boy, John Lamb just cruising along, getting ahead of Buster Posey, 0-2, giving up a double, throwing what looks like is a pretty good off-speed pitch on the outer part of the plate, and an awkward swing, but that is just classic Hunter Pence. He just somehow keeps the ball in play with an ugly swing and a very beautiful RBI if you're a Giants fan.
We used to say that a lot about some of the Todd Frazier swings, didn't we?
Yeah, same way.
Pence gets his 23rd run batted in. Came into the day 5th in the National League in RBIs. He's not that far off the pace setter. The leader with 25, Yoenis Cespedes of the Mets, Nolan Arenado of Colorado, Anthony Rizzo with the Cubs, then Harper with 24, now Pence with 23. Held at .310 with 3 homers. He's driven in 19. Pence with the lead out at second. Now it's 3-0. Well, last night a 3-hit game, 3 for 4. A couple of singles, a triple, and a walk, so he was on base 4 times. Look at those numbers. Last 8 games he's played against the Reds. Last time for Lamb on a big league mound was October the 1st last year here against the Cubs. He went 4 2/3, got roughed up for 5 runs, 5 hits, suffered the loss in a 5-3 Cubs win. There is ball 4. So as you said, he was cruising along with the first 2. All of a sudden, double walk. And it will be Brandon Crawford. He's our Steel Power Tool performer of the night. Crawford 2 for 2 with a home run, 4 RBIs in last night's game in the 7th through the 9th inning.
Well, something about being at Great American Ballpark makes this guy swing the bat, because previously to last night he had not done anything at all offensively. In fact, they've been waiting for him to kind of come out of his little slump that he's been on. But when he gets into Cincinnati, in his last 4 games in Cincinnati, he's batting .500, 2 home runs and 12 runs batted in 4 games. Lamb needs to bear down.
This guy had a career year last year in power numbers. That is a fair ball. Votto knocks it down and wins the race to the base. Crawford is out. The Giants settle for just 1 run in the first. Now they'll face the big right-hander Jeff Samardzija of the Giants. The Reds will need to come from behind to get a win here tonight at Great American Ballpark as the Giants take the early advantage. Take a look at that Reds starting lineup presented by Brian Price. Hamilton, DeJesus back in there at shortstop again tonight. Votto number 3. Phillips, Bruce, and Suarez in the middle. Duvall back in the starting lineup and out in left, batting 7th. Then Barnhart, and then the lefty John Lamb against the veteran right-hander Jeff Samardzija.
Can't believe you're saying veteran right-hander, because it seems like just yesterday that Jeff Samardzija was making a decision whether he was going to play in the NFL or play Major League Baseball. Played, of course, college football at Notre Dame. Signed a 5-year deal here with the Giants in the offseason. And he all of a sudden got a little Cueto in him. I remember him taking a big windup and never really seeing him take a Louis Tion type of a twist.
Samardzija 3-1 on the year with a 3.86 ERA. That check swing. Third base umpire James Hoy said yes. Billy went around, so quickly down 2 strikes. How about Samardzija, Chris? We talked about the fact in the open that he has not done well at all here at Great American Ballpark.
I think he's a different pitcher now than he was when he first came up. I mean, you talk about a raw thrower when he first came to the major leagues. That's really what he was. I mean, he just reared back and just cut it loose. And these are the numbers that he's produced here. This is the last 4 starts at Great American Ballpark, and you may say, well, he has a hard time pitching here and so on. That's a small sample size when you're looking really at the big picture. He's a better pitcher now. He sprinkles in more off-speed pitches. He really likes his cutter a lot. He uses his slider and both kinds of fastballs.
Got in on the hands of Hamilton there. Duffy makes a nice play to throw Billy out at first. Take a look now at the Giants defensively, brought to you by Ford. Blanco gets a start out in left field tonight. Last night it was Williamson who had just been called up from AAA. Span is in center. Pence is in right. Duffy, Crawford, Tomlinson, and Belt across the infield. Samardzija and Posey the battery. Tomlinson getting another start tonight. This marks the 3rd straight game that Joe Panik has been out of the lineup due to a right groin tightness. Tomlinson in there again. And for that matter, Angel Pagan out of the lineup. He left the game on Sunday with a left hamstring tightness. Did not play last night. Out of the lineup tonight. All on the strike now to DeJesus, hitting only 171. Did have a couple of hits last night. You can see he's done much better as of late after getting off to an 0 for 17 start. Votto waiting on deck. Samardzija's a guy that you always talk about pitchers coming up who want to be starters, but they have to earn their way into the rotation via the bullpen. This guy was a reliever at the beginning of his big league career.
Well, he was. They were trying to fit him into the major leagues without hurting his arm, and I think that was one of the ways that they did that, is that you control innings out of the bullpen. And he also didn't have a full complement of off-speed pitches. But they wanted to get him to the major leagues. He had name recognition. He had major league stuff. I mean, he's throwing the ball as hard as 97 miles an hour tonight. He's always been a hard thrower. This is the 3rd time in a row that the Giants have given Samardzija a lead in the 1st inning. Tonight they played 1 run. The previous 2 games they scored 3 runs each in giving him a lead.
Slicing toward the seats and out of play, chased out there by Pence. The Giants have been very happy with the top 3 in their rotation, but the 4 and 5 spot have not been kind to them at all.
That's Matt Cain and Jake Peavy.
Yeah. Peavy will pitch here tomorrow afternoon.
But good at bat by DeJesus right here. You're making Samardzija work a lot. I mean, he's a high strikeout pitcher. Samardzija is. He doesn't quite go 1 strikeout per inning, but pretty close.
And he works a walk out of Samardzija, so the Reds have a first inning base runner. Batter now will be Votto. There are his season numbers. 3rd home run came here last night. That 3-run homer is part of that 6-run 3rd inning for Cincinnati. Gave them a 6-3 lead at the time. Speaking of, here's that home run last night against Cueto.
Well, after a strikeout in the very first at bat, he really battled Cueto in that one. Cueto thought of maybe staying in the ballpark. Maybe he was thinking he was out there at AT&T Park in San Francisco, where that would have stayed at the ballpark. But not here. And Votto got with a big 3-run bomb.
Everybody remembers that 0 for 19 dry spell that he went through, but he is hitting .333 over his last 10 games. That big blow last night coming against his old teammate Cueto.
You know, it's funny. Votto has been so good over the last few years. If you come to the ball game and watch the Reds play, you expect him to get 2 or 3 hits every night.
Yeah, they tie him up inside, and Votto heads back to the dugout, out number 2.
Well, very similar, really, to the at-bat that he had in the very first inning against Johnny Cueto last night. Cueto struck him out, and then he came back and bombed Cueto in his next at-bat. 2 fastballs and a cutter. That last pitch was cut right into his hands and obviously fooled him.
So Phillips bats now with a runner aboard, 2 out here in the bottom of the first. .272 with a home run this year for Phillips, including a hit last night in 4 at-bats. A number of guys in this Reds lineup have seen Samardzija a lot. There's Phillips' numbers against the Giants. Pretty good. You got Phillips, Votto, and Bruce all have more than 30 career at-bats against Samardzija, with Bruce, of the 3, faring far better than both Votto and Phillips against the big right-hander. Brandon in the hole, 2 strikes. Here's what we're talking about career-wise. Phillips against Samardzija. He got it. So a couple of strikeouts in the first for Jeff Samardzija. We're through one here at Great American.
Second inning of work here at GABP. I'm Jim Day. John Lamb taking the place of John Moscott. MRI on John Moscott's left shoulder revealed no damage, and Brian Price had some interesting comments before the game. He expects Moscott to resume pitching within the next 24 to 48 hours, which caught us off guard, and then said he is going to the bullpen. As for now, when he comes back, it will be to help out the bullpen situation. And this is something that you might see with guys coming back, that some guys are going to go down to the bullpen and help that beleaguered situation right now. So look for John Moscott in the next day or two to be in the pen.
Well, it looks like Lamb will stay in. Straley, Simon, Adelman, and Finnegan will be the Reds rotation, at least for the time being.
That's a good bunt.
Lamb's going to field the ball and drop it, but he had no chance to get Kelly Tomlinson at first base. So
actually better than he knocked it away with his glove rather than picking it up and firing a futile throw down the first baseline and maybe down in right field. There's something to be learned from Tomlinson's approach to bunting right there. You saw that he didn't square, but he waited to the very end, but he bunted it first and then he ran to first base. That was a perfect bunt. You always say a good bunt is worth 2 steps out of the batter's box, and he really bought into that theory with that approach.
Now it's Gregor Blanco starting in left field tonight. Saw him get into the game last night as a pinch hitter, and an RBI single, that stayed in the game. He ended up being 1 for 2. He has 9 hits in his last 18 ABs. Blanco. In on the edge of the grass at third is Suarez. Hamilton and Duvall, and it's Duvall, the left fielder, who will make the catch. So Blanco, the first out here in the second. Oh, we mentioned a bunch of dogs out here at the ballpark tonight. It is Bark in the Park night, thanks to Kroger, thanks to Imes, and thanks to our good friends at the SPCA in Cincinnati. Those folks do wonderful, wonderful work in this area. They've placed over 38,000 pets in homes over the last 5 years. All the pets are spayed, neutered, and microchipped. They've returned. This is a great one. They've returned 6,000 lost cats and dogs to their owners over the last 5 years.
That's amazing. Because if you've ever had a dog get away and you can't find for a couple of days and you post the signs, I mean, it's heartbreaking. And to be able to get the dog back, what a feeling.
Runner going. The pitch is strike. The throw is wide. And a stolen base for Kelby Tomlinson. And now the Giants have a runner in scoring position.
Just a little double pump right there from Barnhart. Didn't look like he could get a handle on that ball. I'll tell you, in the little amount of time that Tomlinson has had a chance to play in place of Joe Panik, their everyday second baseman, he looks like a nice ball player.
Well, he did a good job for them late last year when he stepped in for Panik, and he's, as you say, he's impressive looking. Hit the ball hard every time up last night. Margin now, he comes into the game as a 140 career hitter, but this year he's already driven in 5 runs, 4 hits, 16 at bats. Part of the pitcher's offensive story that Jim Day was talking about right before the game began. He's a strikeout victim here in the second out of the inning. Back to the top of the order now, and Denard Span. See, he struck out in the first. That's a rarity for him. It's only the 9th time he's K'd this year. Second in the league in at bats against strikeouts. Only 1 in every 14.5 times up. Here's what we're talking about. Span number 2 to Ledmus Diaz of the Cardinals. There's a young guy that nobody had heard of until the injury bug hit St. Louis at short. Done a pretty darn good job. Boy, that throw right on the money at the base. Tomlinson back. Afternoon wrap up here tomorrow between these two teams. A 12:35 start. That game will not be televised here on Fox Sports Ohio. To Phillips. And the inning is over. So leadoff hit by Tomlinson wasted. Up come the Reds in the bottom of the second. Down 1-0. board here at the ballpark earlier in the night. Johnny Cueto, the former Red, 7.5 years in this city. Of course, a World Series champion last year with Kansas City. He gets a big hand from his teammates now and his former teammates in the Reds dugout. They appreciate the hard work he put in for all those years.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We remember him as a young man, first seeing him in spring training as just a youngster. And always remember Johnny Alvarez, the Red Scout that signed him down in San Pedro de Macorís, Dominican Republic, and said, you keep an eye on this guy. This kid Cueto is really going to be something someday.
Bruce gets it in the air. Crawford, the shortstop, out. He'll give way to Blanco, and the left fielder makes the catch. No, one pitch, one out here in the second. This is prior to the game tonight. Some of the former Reds come up and talk to Johnny Cueto. Look at Brandon. He and Cueto were tight. Billy Hamilton had some nice things to say in coverage of the game last night about Johnny Cueto. Jay Bruce, they came up through the minor leagues together. Johnny a little more relaxed today than he was last night when he started. Well, truth be told, he went 5 innings. In all but one of those innings, he was very, very good. Billy Hamilton getting at second base in that 3rd inning really seemed to kind of throw him off. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think that was the beginning of the opening of the dam for Johnny Cueto. And believe me, I mean, he's never had problems with base runners before. Never. In fact, he always is atop the leaderboard and the least number of stolen bases allowed, especially by a right-handed pitcher. Like Billy Hamilton took him to a different level.
Well, Hamilton was talking about Cueto after the game last night, saying they always used to joke around, and Cueto kept telling him, I could pick you off easily at first base. Billy said after the game, we never really talked about out at second base. Strike 3 call. Eugenio Suarez becomes the 3rd strikeout victim of the game for Samardzija.
What I'm seeing from Jeff Samardzija so far is a pitcher with a blazing fastball. That one at 97. But he's not throwing every pitch at 97. He's throwing some at 91. He's throwing a couple of pitches at 87 miles an hour. I mean, he's all of a sudden seems to have really turned the corner to become a complete pitcher. He did not do that last year at all. In fact, when he was with the Chicago White Sox, his home team when he was growing up, he had the worst year really of his entire career. He led the American League in a lot of bad categories, like most home runs given up, most earned runs given up, most hits given up. And despite that, and despite having an under 500 record and an earned run average very close to 5, the Giants took a flyer on him and signed him to a 5-year deal, paying him a bunch of money. So they must have seen something in Samardzija that told them, well, we think that we can get this guy back on track.
Kind of goes along with what you were talking about last night, signing some of their other mainstay players to long-term deals.
Well, they did. It's interesting because a lot of people think, well, name the team with the most homegrown players on their 40-man roster, and you would immediately think probably the St. Louis Cardinals because they've got that reputation. But actually, it's the Giants. We'll talk about that more.
Crawford throws out Duvall, and the Reds go in order here in the bottom of the 2nd. Another great ticket offer for you tonight to come out and see Reds baseball. You can purchase lower level terrace line tickets for this weekend series against the Brewers for only $25. Go to Reds.com/FS-Ohio and use the code FS-Ohio. Come to GABP this weekend. Lower level terrace line tickets for only $25 this weekend against Milwaukee. Matt Duffy leads things off for the Giants here in inning number 3.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about how the Giants have really been able to cultivate a lot of their players out of their minor leagues. In fact, there are only 2 teams in baseball coming into spring training this year that had more than half their players on the 40-man roster come from within the organization, drafted as is amateur draft players. Now they've had a number of international signings, for instance, that would bolster them. And those 2 teams are the Cardinals and the San Francisco Giants. In fact, the Giants have more than the Cardinals in that respect. So when they've drafted, and you got to figure when you win the World Series, you're the last team to draft. So they've won the World Series 3 times in the last, what, 5 years.
Right.
So they haven't had the pluck, you know, the plum picks, but they've been making the best of them. 24 of their 40-man have come from the amateur draft. 23 of the Cardinals. And when you say, well, what happened to the Reds? Well, the Reds are in the company of just about everybody else in baseball, because those two teams seem to have set the pace, and a lot of other teams are all grouped up coming in third.
Here's Buster Posey. Yeah, I don't know that you'd ever pick the Giants out of that group to be the #1 team with homegrown talent. You think of them as a big market, big money team that would go out and spend on free agents, which they did with Cueto and Samardzija and Pagan. But I guess if you look around their lineup tonight, Duffy, Posey,
Brandon Belt, Crawford, and Tomlinson.
Yeah.
So there's 5 of the starting 8, not including the pitcher, that have been drafted and brought up through their system. And that's what the Reds are trying to do. I mean, they're going to get a great pick this year. In fact, they get the 2nd pick in the draft, and they get 3 in the first 35 picks. So they'll have a chance to get some pretty good talent here come June. That draft is just about, what, about a month away, I guess.
About a month away, exactly right.
That guy can hit.
This will be extra bases to the wall in right for Posey. So he gets a double to left, now a double to right. He's in scoring position with 1 out.
Well, very democratic of Buster Posey by sharing the wealth down, once down the left field line and once down the right field line.
And he did that in the first. Hunter Pence drove him in with a double, and here's Pence now. Reigning National League Player of the Week for the good work he did last week when he hit over 400 with 10 runs batted in.
Now, if you remember what Pence hit with, he had a very awkward swing on a changeup. So he hangs back pretty good on off-speed pitches. If you have enough mustard on the fastball, that's a good way to go about getting him. But you got to move it around the zone a little bit. He will chase wildly at sliders from right-handers moving away from him, but John Lamb doesn't have that pitch. His slider moves into Pence.
Now he's fallen behind 3-0.
Well, if you're John Lamb, you're thinking he definitely has the green light, and I'm not just going to throw him a cookie down the middle.
Disappointing year last year for Pence. He only played in 52 games due to not one, not two, but 3 different injuries. Late getting started in spring training this year. At 33 years old. Heading off to a very good start. Billy going back. Posey's going to tag. 2 men out, and Posey will end up at third. Moves up on the deep fly ball by Pence.
Roberto Kelly is the third base coach for the Giants. Bill Hayes, the first base coach. You know, Roberto Kelly, a quick story about Kelly. He was with the Reds, and the Reds were in Shea Stadium playing, and he hit a foul ball that was a rocket shot that went right into the radio booth. And Marty Brennaman tried to get out of the way to hit him right in the back, and the kidney shot knocked him off his chair on the ground. And Joe Nuxall thought it was so funny that he just couldn't talk into his dead radio for a few minutes while Marty tried to get himself composed, get back up on the chair, and Joe just in tears. And there was just a little plexiglass between the two booths. We saw everything happen. Well, I got to tell you the story, and we'll have to do it next inning.
All right. Handled by Duvall. Belt retired. Giants leave a runner. Still 1-0 San Francisco.
Off this half inning for Cincinnati. I'm Jim Day. In the past, we've told you Tucker, a big music guy, very eclectic when it comes to music, even likes old school. In fact, his walk-up song right now is Rush, Working Man. But did you know that Tucker Barnhart also plays music? His father passed that down to him. His father had been in many bands in the Indianapolis area, and this offseason he got the chance to team up with Pops and go on stage. That's Pops singing, and that's Tucker playing rhythm guitar. He says it's one of the highlights of his offseason, trumped only by getting married.
How about that? Now, I'd like to go see that band. I think that'd be interesting. Barnhart first pitch swinging, and he rolls out. Well, he's going to get a lot of playing time here lately. I think Jim Day's going to have more on this situation behind the plate with the Redlegs. Well, Chris,
We were talking about the
Roberto
Kelly story. He hits a foul ball, knocks Marty off a chair, and the next morning, wouldn't you know it, as I remember, it was Father's Day. And there's a trade made. The Reds make a trade with the Atlanta Braves. Jim Bowden was the general manager back then. And Roberto Kelly is in that trade. He gets traded from Cincinnati to Atlanta in exchange for Deion Sanders. And of course, Marty said, you don't mess with the future Hall of Famer. Of course, he didn't say it quite like that back then. He wasn't in the Hall of Fame, I don't believe, at that time. But you don't mess with Marty Brown.
How about that?
And to this day, he says it was the hardest that he's ever been hit by a foul ball.
And I've heard him tell the story, and yeah, he said that Joe could not speak. He was laughing so hard.
Yeah, the other interesting thing about Roberto Kelly, when he was with the Reds, he was traded by the Yankees to the Reds in exchange in the Paul O'Neill deal.
So the Reds ended up getting rid of O'Neill, and then getting Deion Sanders.
No, getting Roberto Kelly.
Getting Kelly, and then getting rid of Kelly for Deion Sanders. Yeah, okay. Well, the end result of that wasn't terrible. Well, Paul O'Neill turned out to be an incredible player with the Yankees.
Yes, he did. And I think he's happy that he had a chance to play in New York.
Sure. Strikeout of Lamb means 7 in a row now, retired by Samardzija. Back to the top of the order in Billy Hamilton. Toward Crawford. Nice pick defensively, and Billy is out at first base. Good work by Brandon Crawford. Reds go in order for the second straight frame. Storyline presented by Elk and Elk. How about the San Francisco Giants? We've talked a little bit about it. They've won the even numbered World Series back to 2010, and again in 12, and again in 14. Missed the playoffs in the other years. This would seemingly be their year. The one number that we don't see on there, I was reading about the other day, was that when the Giants won the World Series those years, all 3 years, plus 500 record on the road. The years they missed, under 500 on the road.
So it's something other than just simply the even years.
Yes. Very astute of you.
Bruce Bochy's been pretty good for the San Francisco Giants over the years. Bochy came in 2007, took over for Felipe Alou. Had a horrible year the first year, won only 72 games. but then started whipping it up and eventually winning the World Series just 5 years after he took over in 2010. Yeah, we talk a little bit about the breaking ball that John Lamb throws. That's a curveball. He doesn't really throw much of a slider, but he hung that curveball after throwing a good one, came right back and gave Crawford a better one to hit.
Crawford going to get another double. This is the 4th double of the game. We're only in the 4th inning for San Francisco. Double for Brandon Crawford is his 6th of the year. That's topped on this Giants team.
You know, I go under the theory that if you throw a really good breaking pitch and you make a guy buckle, and he's a pretty good hitter, and Crawford is obviously a pretty good hitter. He's in the big leagues, and he's a really good hitter here at this ballpark. The chances of you throwing another pitch even better than the great one you just threw is not very good. So you ought to throw something different and then come back to that breaking ball. Just try to change it up on the hitter a little bit.
Toward left, but playing in is Duvall. He'll get there and make the catch. Cheating in out there in left field, and it pays off as Duvall catches that ball that looked like it might be a tweener. Make sure you follow Cincinnati Reds baseball live with the MLB.com @bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game audio and highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com @bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and your tablet. Here's Blanco. They'll move the runner up. Phillips will throw Blanco out. Blanco's 0 for 2. And the Giants now with a runner at third base again. 2 men out. Left a runner at second. In fact, left 2 on in the first when they scored their only run. Left a runner at second in the second, a runner at third in the third, and now they have a runner at third here in the fourth. Jeff Samardzija. Now he and Lamb, take our fashion statement of the night. He and Lamb, put them together with Syndergaard and DeGrom. They're the all-hair starters in the National League. Samardzija is thrown out at first base, and the Giants lead their 5th runner of the night.
With a torn labrum in his left shoulder. I'm Jim Day. When he got an MRI on that shoulder, he said he expected to be in the lineup that night. He was shocked when they told him that he had a torn labrum. 2nd year in a row with a major injury, and he just can't believe it.
I mean, it really feels like a bad dream, to be honest. It's I didn't expect this. Whenever, you know, I thought my shoulder was barking a little bit, but it wasn't. I didn't feel like I was dying out there, or I didn't feel like, I didn't feel like it how it actually is. But it is what it is, you know. And I think you can never. You got to cherish every moment that you are out there on the field. And I think, well, after this, I'll certainly have a better understanding of that.
Well, they simply can't buy a break, and it's the second year in a row also that they have to make a decision of whether or not to surgically repair his injury. But Brian Price was adamant today that this decision will not linger through the summer like the one on his hip did last year. They will make that decision sooner than later.
Yeah, it's really a sad story for him. He has that wonderful 2014, signs the 4-year contract, and he's played in what now 39 games combined between last year and this year. He played his last game last year, May the 20th. Here we are in May the 3rd, and it's very possible that for the second year in a row, he's not going to see any baseball after the month of May. Jesus leads things off here in the bottom of the 4th. You know, we're talking about the all-hair starting rotation of Lamb and Samardzija, and I mentioned DeGrom and Syndergaard of the Mets, and Joe Luckham, our stat man, said, hey, what about Johnny Cueto? Cueto get out there. Now the question, though, and I don't know if you can answer this or not, is that real hair or are those extensions that Johnny has on?
Oh, no, that's real hair. He hasn't cut his hair in 6 years.
No.
Very proud of it, and it is a signature look.
Sounds like he may have broken his bat. He flares it into right, and Pence makes the dive and the catch out in right field.
Well, DeJesus could use a few of these to fall in right here. He has given the best at bat any Red has so far against Samardzija with the walk that he was able to coax in the first inning. And, you know, when you're going good, that ball falls in there for a base hit. When you're going bad and DeJesus is scuffling a little bit at the plate, here's a guy to come in to catch it.
So now it's Votto, who struck out his first time. Samardzija gets ahead of him here. Joey hitting a ball to his fan right there out in left field. Down 2 strikes. Over the outside corner, Samardzija gets the call. Joey looks a little frustrated as he walks back to the Reds dugout.
Well, he got a few inches on the outer part of the plate. Votto knows the strike zone. It was a cutter. It looked like a cut fastball that was meant to either come back a little bit or stay right there. And Votto knows at this point arguing is useless, but that was not a strike.
10 in a row now retired by Samardzija. Looks for his 3rd straight perfect inning, and he deals with Phillips. And in a strikeout victim his first time. 5 of them now by Samardzija. He's 1-5 lifetime against the Reds. And the only win coming here at Great American Ballpark back in 2012. They were the Cubs then. tonight, playing in his 1,496th game as a Red. 1496 puts him only 4 away from becoming the 8th player playing at least 1,500 games while wearing the Reds uniform. Plays tomorrow. He plays in 3 of the 4 games against Milwaukee beginning on Thursday. And he will hit 1,500. Later this year, he would figure to pass Frank Robinson and Vada Pinson. Hit hard, hit up the middle, and there's your first Reds base hit. And only their second base runner. Phillips a single into center with 2 out.
Little chuck and duck for the Shark right there. That ball coming back as a knuckleball. That's how hard Brandon Phillips hit it.
Throw the tying run on with 2 out. Here's Bruce. Light out to left his first time. '18 RBIs by Bruce, tops on this Reds team. What about Samardzija? What are your thoughts on Samardzija's move?
Well, baseball has run on him in the past few years. Not quite as much last year because in the American League they didn't push it quite as much. But big guy, somewhat long and deliberate. You can take advantage of it. But Brandon is not in the stealing mode anymore. I mean, really, the only legitimate base stealer that the Reds have on this ball club is Billy Hamilton.
Billy hasn't run as much this year as he did last year, the year before. Now, I know he hasn't gotten on base quite as much. He is 5 for 5.
A lot of times just the timing of the game, the situation, the score, all that dictates whether Billy's going to go or not.
Right.
I mean, he's got the green line most of the time, unless for one reason or another they say, oh, we want you to stay right there.
Samardzija wanted that one. Didn't quite get it off the plate. Who's trying to keep this Reds 4th inning alive? Shallow outfield grass. Nice play by Tomlinson, moving to his right. Bruce is 0 for 2, and the Reds finished in the bottom of the 4th. Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on U.S. News Best Children's Hospitals. Dogs look like they're having a lot of fun out here at the ballpark tonight. We mentioned over 600 of them. All sorts of canines here tonight. Span will lead it off. Reds have made a change in center field. Billy Hamilton has left the game. Tyler Holt takes over. We'll wait on a report on Billy Hamilton. Boy, it seems like every day it's something. Span, Duffy, and Posey here in the 5th against Lamb. Span in the game. Viva called 3rd strike to get the contest started. Grounded out to win the 2nd. 1 for 7 in the series thus far. He's really labored against left-handers this year. Came in at over 300 against righties, 150 against lefties.
Span had a terrific 2014 with the Washington Nationals. He batted over 300. I think he led the league in number of hits that year, if I'm not mistaken. Had 184 hits. But he was unable to follow that up with a really good year last year because he had a core muscle problem and surgery, and eventually had to be put on the disabled list with the same surgery that Devin Mesoraco had, hip surgery, so he was done for the year. But the Giants they weren't very much deterred by his injury bug in 2015 when they signed him as a free agent in the offseason.
And not just to a 1-year deal. They signed him to a 3-year contract. Coming off an injury-plagued year, that's a little surprising, isn't it?
And he's 32 years old.
Yeah.
So it does go to show you, though, that the surgery, the hip labrum surgery, the same that Mesoraco had, can be overcome by baseball players. You can come back and play every day. Of course, that's not what's sidelining Mesoraco right now.
Here's Duffy. He's 0 for 2. Hitless in the series at 0 for 6. The Giants have had a base runner in every inning here tonight against John Lamb, so we've seen him work out of the stretch a lot. That was my view last year. Home run derby right about there. Perfect view.
Span, when healthy, is definitely a stolen base threat. 155 in his career, which is over 9 years. Former #1 draft pick for the Minnesota Twins.
Hit pretty well. Holt don't look like he saw it right away. Now he picks it up and on the edge of the track makes the catch. Span tags and now reverses course and heads back to first base. So 1 out. And this Saturday, the first 25,000 fans here at the ballpark will receive a Star Wars X-Wing fighter Mr. Redlegs bobblehead thanks to Dynegy Energy Services. Get your tickets to Star Wars Weekend for as low as $12. Call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. That's the Star Wars X-Wing fighter Mr. Redlegs bobblehead. Big Star Wars weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday against Milwaukee. Posey a pair of doubles tonight. Now he's hitting 5 games in a row. No word yet on Billy Hamilton, who left the game. Tyler Holt took over in center. We hope it's something minor. There goes the runner. He got a pretty good jump from his knees. Barnhart's throw is late. Steal by Denard Span, his 4th of the year.
He went on the first move, really didn't give Barnhart much of a chance. They're wary of John Lamb's move, but he's got a big high leg kick. So when he does go to the plate and you guess right, you can pretty much go in standing up.
Again, a runner in scoring position for Posey.
If you notice the thing about Posey, that early in the count, before he gets a couple of strikes on him, he rarely chases bad pitches. He's just a very selective hitter, and that's one reason why he's always atop the leaderboard when it comes to offensive production from catchers. They've tried to work him in a few times at first base here and again against certain left-handed pitchers to give Brandon Belt a day off. But he just doesn't like the chase. That's really comes from pitch recognition.
Draws a 5-pitch walk there. So he joins Span on the bases. Lamb's pitch count now sitting at 77.
Only 2 walks for Lamb. He's not struck out a batter since the 2nd inning. That's the one thing we did see last year that was very impressive, his strikeout rate. Have not seen it tonight, but one game is no big deal.
Here now is Pence. 2 on, 1 out, 1-0 in the 5th, San Francisco. They took over, by the way. The Giants did first place in the National League West last night, albeit only by a half game over the idle Dodgers. Playing tonight at Tampa Bay. Colorado lost last night. Giants won, so snapped that 3-way tie. Like the Dodgers and the Rays are 3-3 in the 4th inning tonight. Belt on deck. 2-2 now to Pence. There's a little discrepancy between fastball and changeup right there.
Well, you're right. I mean, he has thrown a pitch in the 60s, I think, tonight. Lamb has a slow curveball. He'll do that from time to time.
Trying to take care of Pence. Ooh, he just missed there.
There's a 66 mile an hour. You know, the key to that is that he didn't slow his arm angle down or his arm speed down at all. He was able to kill that with his grip. I mean, if you slow everything down, you just tell the hitter what's coming. I believe he's got an ephus in him sometime.
Maybe learn that from Alfredo. On and off speed pitch. Down goes Pence on strikes. Chris mentioned they had not struck out since the second. They are the hardest team in the National League to strike out. Lamb gets one here.
That's the changeup right there that Pence reads as a fastball way out in front. Well, he's got his engine going 90 miles an hour north, and that pitch coming in about 30.
So strikeout number 3 for Lamb. That'll deal with Belt. Out away from putting a 0 on the board. Belt split this year, right-handed versus left-handed. He's hitting .302 against right-handed pitching. .333, 24 at bats coming into tonight against lefties. Tonight's game, he's walked and flied out. To second, they have Span in a rundown, and they put the tag on. Tucker Barnhart with a heads-up play behind the dish, and out. Going to third is Bernard Span. The Galaxy far, far away this weekend. This Friday, the first 20,000 fans will receive a Star Wars poster. Plus, stick around for a post-game fireworks show. Catch all the Star Wars and Reds action for as low as $12 against the Brewers this weekend. You can get tickets by calling 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Here come the Reds now in the bottom of the 5th against Jeff Samardzija. Got a grand total of 2 base runners. A 1-out walk in the first to DeJesus. 2-out single to center by Phillips. Both have been stranded. Reds now have gone 10 consecutive innings without scoring. since they scored those 6 runs in the bottom of the 3rd last night. Suarez laid off. Jim Joyce concurs down at first. Just does stay alive, Eugenio Suarez.
I don't know how he didn't get that ball on his fingers. That ball running right into his hands. A little 2-seam fastball that Samardzija dialed that one up at 95.
Samardzija walked 5 strikeouts thus far. Gets 6 as Suarez fans for the 2nd time. Remember now, if a Reds home run hits this Toyota sign during tonight's game, Richard Johnson of Cincinnati will win the beautiful new Tundra that's on display here at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win in an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Good luck tonight. Richard Johnson of Cincinnati. There's the Tundra sitting high above the Reds bullpen out in left center field.
That's an unhittable pitch. I mean, with that location, that movement, and that speed, maybe it's very difficult to lay off of because it looks like it's hittable if you're looking at something inside, but by the time it gets to you, it's down and off the plate. Coming back right in there again. You know, Samardzija's delivery it still looks complicated because he takes a big twist and he finishes in kind of almost a reeling back kind of a motion straight up. But before he releases the pitch, it's very much under control. Takes a very small step back. Leg lift right there, and then when he goes to the plate, he's under control. After that, he releases the ball. You see that recoil action, but that's all after the fact. There was a time when he was with the Cubs, he was falling off for his first base very, very badly.
Kind of Cueto-like. That's what Johnny used to do.
And they've straightened him out pretty well here.
Duvall, a blast out into left center field. Did he tie this game? No, he did not. It looked like it went off. Did he? He did. A home run. Adam Duvall. And the game is tied 1-1. We'll see if the Giants may want to take a look at this or not. Duvall gets his 3rd. The game is tied at 1. Doesn't appear to be any movement down there in that Giants dugout to protest. Let's see this thing.
Well, that's a home run. That is not fan interference. He may have lost his phone or his glasses or whatever that was and fell onto the ground. But unless you reach over the fence into the field of play, it's not spectator interference. So that is a legitimate home run for Adam Duvall.
The Giants are looking at it. Bruce Bochy will come to the top of the dugout. Now he'll come out and talk with Chad Fairchild, the home plate umpire. That view that we just saw looks clearly like the ball was a home run, but the Giants are going to take a look.
Well, a little cutter that didn't cut, and it stayed right out over the plate for Duvall. You know, the way this game's going right now, you got to figure, well, what is the harm for the Giants to go ahead and ask for a review?
Remember, this is not a challenge on the home runs. This is, as you said, this is a review. This is the old rule before the challenge came in. You could take a look, ask the umpires to take a look at a home run ball. And that's what they're doing here. I thought that was a definitive view, though, didn't you?
I did too, and I think that they'll find the same thing in New York.
That's Jim Joyce, the crew chief, on the left. And the second base umpire, Marvin Hudson, on the right. This is under review in New York. Again, this is not a challenge by the Giants. This is the old rule. Here's a look at it again.
I don't think there's any question because it went on to the top of the yellow there and then bounced further into the stands. Looks like they're going to get an answer fairly soon. Jim Joyce getting ready to take the headphones off. And it's a dinger.
Call confirmed. Home run by Adam Duvall, his third of the year. And the Reds have pulled even with the Giants 1-1 here in the bottom of the fifth.
I think they ought to blow off the fireworks once again. I mean, they got to have some saved up.
Now it's Barnhart. New game at 1-1 here in the fifth. Duvall had been 1 for his last 16. Prior to the home run ball. Lamb waits on deck. Giants get a run in the first. Back-to-back 2-out doubles by Posey and Pence. Reds have pulled even with a home run ball by Duvall here in the fifth. Tomlinson will throw out Barnhart for out number 2. Just a reminder, as you enjoy the game tonight, we look forward to bringing you a Miller time moment of the game later on tonight, brought to you by Miller Lite. Here now is Lamb. 0 for 1 with a strikeout tonight. Had 1 hit last year as a member of the Reds. 16 at bats. Making his 2016 debut. Had that surgery in the off season, John Lamb. Early August, surgery to repair a disc in his lower back. It was a surgery that we really didn't know anything about until we got out to spring training.
You're right. And it wasn't a major surgery, evidently, because he was moving quite well even from the beginning of spring training. He was a young man that has had his share of injuries over the course of his career. He was involved in a horrible automobile accident when he was just a teenager. And he had Tommy John surgery in 2011 and 12 and missed just about a year there.
He takes strike 3 here. That ends the bottom of the fifth with a home run by Adam Duvall. Number 3 for him this year. Has tied this game through 5.
Greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Bryce Harper, this just in, he's pretty good. And Under Armour thinks so as well. He signed a multi-year extension with Under Armour, reported to be the largest in baseball history. Bartolo Colon passed the great Pedro Martinez for the second most wins by a Dominican pitcher. Juan Marichal's the only guy higher on that list, and the Cubs plus 83 run differential this season. They won 97 games last year with a plus 81 run differential. Already 83 this season, and guys, tonight they are already beating up on the Pirates 6-0 in the 6th inning.
Well, they beat up on Garrett Cole last night. Beating up on the Pirates again tonight. Cubs started the day 4 games ahead of Pittsburgh, 6 ahead of St. Louis in this National League Central Division. Cubs have now, with 6 losses on the year, the best record in baseball. A game better than the Nats, 2 better than the Mets. Well, it's 2000, been 16 years now, 15 years ago, that we had the World Series between the Mets and the Yankees. Very possible that we could have a World Series this year between the Cubs and the White Sox. The White Sox have the best record right now in the American League.
Well, we're already right around 1/6 through the 2016 season. So if that's a time when you start to evaluate, if you got something there.
Duvall, and Duvall will make the catch. Holt came charging over there as well. He gave way to the left fielder. Dealt the first out of the inning. So Lamb now works against Brandon Crawford. Here's a nice chart about starting pitchers used for the Reds in the last 5 years. Lamb tonight becomes the 9th starter used by Cincinnati this year, matching the most through 27 games in franchise history.
And John Lamb trying to be only the second of those, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim Kelch, but the second of those 9 starters who will have pitched full 7 innings if he can get that far tonight.
Well, he's 1/3 of the way through the 6th. I'll let Joel look into that.
I know that Robert Stevenson did.
He's the only one, right? Yeah, Iglesias went 6 2/3.
I think so did John Moscott in one of his games, went 6 2/3. Oh, spinning at Brandon Finnegan.
Adelman went into the 7th on Sunday at Pittsburgh, but was pulled after Marte had the infield hit. A little ahead of ourselves as he needs to get through the 6th inning here. He gives up the walk to Crawford, his 3rd, and his pitch count right now at 94. Speaking of pitchers, happy birthday goes out today to Reds right-hander Homer Bailey. We had a chance to talk to him down in the clubhouse both yesterday and today.
How old does that make Homer?
Homer today turns 30. Jim, you talked to Homer down there today, didn't you? Wished him happy birthday?
I did indeed, and it was the big 3-0, as you said, and he said, well, I guess it's finally time for me to grow up. Big 3-0 is a tough one for some guys. I know it was for me many moons ago. By the way, if you remember back in 2012, his birthday made history. It was the first game in Major League history in which both starting pitchers celebrated their birthdays, when Bailey, who was 26 at the time, went against Chicago's Ryan Dempster, turned 35 on that day. Only time it ever happened in MLB history.
Only you could dig up a stat like that. That's good work right there. How do you remember those things? I don't get that.
Well, what a great changeup right here by John Lamb. I mean, he is showing you that you don't need to just play power baseball with every hitter that comes up there. A 70-mile-an-hour changeup. Well, that is something. If I'm the Reds, I'm having him teach that pitch to everybody he comes across in spring training. Because that's one of the hardest things to do for a hard thrower, is to take a lot off your pitch to give you good separation between your fastball and your changeup. Lamb's got that figured out.
You know, it's interesting. You talk about that and the way he has pitched tonight, because after that bad outing that John had in Louisville, basically the story came out that Bailey and DeSclafani, when they were ready, they were going to join this rotation, but the same could not be said for John Lamb. In fact, he was going to make a rehab start last night in Louisville, another rehab start, was scratched from that start because they didn't know what was going on for sure here with Moscott. Moscott is scratched tonight here. Lamb comes up. He's done very good work. Blanco 0 for 2 tonight. Runner going. They will not bother to throw down. Again, they guessed correctly on Lamb with that slow move to the plate. Crawford gets the steal.
Well, at this point, that shouldn't matter to John Lamb. You concentrate on the hitter. Nothing happens bad here to Lamb unless Blanco puts the ball in play for a base hit.
Pitcher spot next, and Samardzija is standing in the on deck circle.
But you have 2 strikes on him, and you'd like to be able to put him away and have Samardzija lead off the inning. But you have to be smart about it. Now that you've reached a 3-2 count, maybe you just expand the strike zone, and if you get him to chase, great. If you don't get him to chase, then you pitch to the pitcher.
Flies it out to left. Duvall got there. Adam Duvall.
Kid's a good athlete.
Long run for that baseball, but Duvall got it. Blanco retired.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Bottom of the 6th inning. Game tied at 1. John Lamb into the dugout after that 6th inning worth of work, getting a lot of glad hands from the dugout. Leads you to believe that he is out of this game. Boy, for as 2016 big league debut, quite an effort.
Well, you know, the Reds are looking for somebody to kind of bolster that starting rotation, especially with Homer Bailey not ready, DeStefani not ready. Moscott, when he does get ready, goes to the bullpen. I would say that John Lamb availed himself very well tonight, and he'll be getting another start very soon.
Yeah, he's scheduled to start the finale here on Sunday against Milwaukee. All right, let's see. The Reds now can go about the business of taking the lead in this game in the bottom of the 6th. Tyler Hole, who took over for Billy Hamilton in center field, and no report yet on Billy. Bats for the first time tonight. Holt hitting .333, 7 out of 21. Had a 2-hit game in New York. Hit a couple of starts there. Did not start at all in Pittsburgh. The Reds claimed him off waivers late September last year. From the Indians. Pence will make the catch, and that's the first out here in the bottom of the 6th. Hey, tomorrow on an all-new Reds Weekly, Pete Rose talks with our man Jim Day about his June Reds Hall of Fame weekend. Chris Wells demonstrates how to break in a new glove, plus some of the new food that is sold here at Great American Ballpark. You can join Jeff Porcaro and Doug Flynn tomorrow night, 6 p.m. for Reds Weekly, right here on Fox Sports Ohio. What was your preferred method to break in a glove back in the day?
I use Neat's foot oil.
Rub it all over?
Yeah, and I think that only those people who are maybe in the equestrian business or have a fondness for horses would know what Neat's foot oil is.
Explain that.
It's something that you buy in a saddlery shop, I think, and it was you put on a saddle to condition the leather in a saddle, and it would darken the glove at the same time. My dad got it for me when I was a kid, and I always used it when I could find it. Now, since that time, there are many, many things that you can buy on the market that will help you condition the leather. There are all sorts of different ways.
Well, your son's a college baseball player. What is he using?
I don't think they use anything anymore. A lot of these gloves come out, they're pretty ready to go. In the demonstration I do in Reds Weekly, we work very closely with the people from Mizuno, and I believe we demonstrate what a glove steamer is all about.
I think I've seen some of that.
Yeah.
Very interesting. That's tomorrow night on Reds Weekly. Duffy ranging to his left. Nice play to retire De Jesus Jr.
You know, we haven't seen too many tremendous defensive plays tonight. I mean, it's a 1-1 ball game. You figure it would be filled with a lot of defense, but we've seen really good, solid baseball.
Here's Joey Votto twice tonight. Samardzija's gotten the better of the Reds' first baseman. Swinging in the first and a pitch in on him. Called third strike in the fourth on a pitch Joey thought was off the plate outside. Tomorrow afternoon here in the finale, Dan Straley will go for the Reds against Jake Peavy. Again, that game will be on MLB Network, not here on Fox Sports Ohio. Starts at 12:35. There's Phillips in the background. He's on deck. see here now what Samardzija will offer up to Votto at 3-1. Ball 4. Second walk by Samardzija. He walked to Jesus in the first. He walks Votto here in the 6th. That's a go-ahead run on with 2 out. Here comes Phillips. Tonight has struck out at the first Reds hit of the game back in the 4th. Giants will have the pitcher spot due up first in the 7th, then the top of the order. Grani had been up and throwing earlier in the Reds pen. It's quiet now. Bullpen may have some action. Movement down there, but nobody throwing as of yet.
Yeah, they're just doing Pilates, as I can tell from here.
You're the only one up in this booth that could recognize that. You're at your class for
today. You have to take my horse for us. Drive that 2-seamer down and in here. Look out.
Comes in on Phillips. Now ahead 2-0.
You know, from a pitcher's perspective, that's a great pitch. You know, you're coming inside, you miss your spot, but by moving him off the plate like that, you know, you may buy yourself him pulling off a ball just a little bit on the outer part of the plate. A hittable pitch that if he's going, you know, towards right field, he could hit normally, but you're just not as anxious to go to right field after you nearly get hit in the belt buckle.
Hit toward right center. Span got the jump on it, and Span runs it down. Phillips is retired, and the inning comes to an end. Innings. Let's take a look at our Honda game summary. This was the base hit down the left field line by Hunter Pence in the first inning. A double that scores Posey, giving the Giants the early 1-0 lead. John Lamb, though, he held the Giants at bay, never did retire them in order. They would get runners on. He would wiggle off the hook. They end up leaving 7 through the 6 innings that John was out there. He gave up just the 1 run. And then this blast by Adam Duvall with 1 out in the 5th. asked for and reviewed by the umpires, but ruled a home run, his 3rd of the year. That's where we are right now, 1-1 into the 7th. Our Honda game summary. Lamb is out of the game, and another left-hander, Tony Cingrani, takes over.
Well, Cingrani gets the pleasure of greeting Jeff Samardzija, the first batter that he faces. That doesn't happen very often for a reliever. Bruce Bochy has had some bullpen problems too and does not want to go to that pen anytime too soon. Got to throw him strikes here. He's probably up taking a strike, knowing Cingrani's affinity for some occasional wildness. Say go ahead and take a strike before you swing.
Cingrani came into that game in the 7th inning on Sunday in Pittsburgh. Reds had a 3-1 lead. Adelman gave up the hit. Cingrani came on for him, struck out Polanco, but then gave up that RBI triple to Rodriguez, walked Mercer, and that was the end of his Sunday afternoon. That's the last time he was out there. Broken bat to the left of DeJesus. Out number 1. Span representing the top of the order. Had a hit his last time, 1 for 3. Giants have 6 hits. Reds only have the 2. One of them, the home run ball by Duvall, tied things in the bottom of the 5th. There was a cut now of protective nature. He got him on a pitch low. That's the 2nd time he has struck out tonight. It's 2 up, 2 down here in the 7th. Here now will be Matt Duffy against Cingrani. Fouled out, tapped out to the mound, flied out. He's 0 for 3. Reds in their 7th will have Bruce, Suarez, and Duvall. And 0-2.
The Giants have really come to love Matt Duffy, a young man that they came through the system, 18th round pick in 2012. So he beat the odds by getting to the major leagues. But I mean, you talk to the coaches and those that travel around with the Giants, and they just love the way this guy plays the game of baseball. And he just might be the next Giant player that they wrap up to a long-term deal.
You take advantage, don't you, of the situation given you, and that's what he did when Casey McGee could not do the job as the opening day third baseman last year for San Francisco. They turned to Duffy, and he did get the job done.
Last year he had 612 plate appearances. This year he's already appeared in every game the Giants have played.
Thought they had him rung up, didn't get the call. Now a full count. Popped him up. Phillips, inning over. First time tonight the Giants go down in order. Stretch time at Great American. Jeff Samardzija, for the third time this year, works into the seventh inning. This game is 1-1. Good pitching matchup tonight. Samardzija for the Giants. John Lamb, who went 6 in his 2016 debut. 1 run, 6 hits, 6 innings. Cingrani a perfect 7th, and now the Reds try to jump in front here with Bruce leading it off. Jay tonight is flied out, grounded out, 0 for 2. Report from the Reds clubhouse. Billy Hamilton left the game with a jammed left thumb. The glove hand. That's the issue that's been giving him a little problem this year, isn't it? Have had Cozart out of there. A little tendonitis behind his right knee. There's Rocco out. Now Hamilton leaves the game tonight. Everywhere you turn, injury rears its head for this Reds team.
And it's not only the Reds. I mean, there are a lot of teams out there that are being beset by injury. And there have never been more trainers on a major league staff before, more strength and conditioning coaches than ever before, and more injuries seemingly than ever before. So the more people you hire to try to keep your team healthy, the more guys get hurt. And I don't know how that works, but it seems to be the case, at least here in Cincinnati. I think a lot of it is just simply bad luck.
Swing and a miss. Bruce strikes out. Well, let's get more on Billy Hamilton's jammed left thumb and go down to Jim Day for that.
We believe it happened on his first at bat. It was the pitch before he grounded out the first time up, in which he jammed it. A little bit of wincing after this. Didn't come out of the game, obviously. Had another at bat after that. But as you said, Jim, he's been dealing with that thumb issue over and over again. He hurt it climbing the wall in St. Louis on that great catch. So the wheel keeps spinning for the injuries for the Reds.
Well, all we can do is hope for the best for all these injured Reds, that they will come through this and be able to get back on the field, contribute to this team.
You know, when the Giants went out and signed Jeff Samardzija over the wintertime, and then Johnny Cueto, they went after two pitchers that really weren't involved in a lot of bidding wars that were out there. The top two pitchers in the free agent market last year were Zach Greinke and David Price. Price ended up with the Red Sox with a contract that was in excess of $200 million. Greinke signed a long-term deal with the Diamondbacks worth $156 million. So you got a pretty good deal by comparison if Jeff Samardzija pitches the way he has so far this season. 5 years, 90 for Samardzija. And remember also that Johnny Cueto can opt out of his contract after 2017 if he doesn't like the way things are going in San Francisco, or thinks that he can make more money on the free agent market. Of course, it wouldn't keep San Francisco from maybe juicing up the deal a little bit, that
right,
make it a better for him.
Duffy throws out Suarez, who's now 0 for 3 tonight. 2 out. Batter will be Adam Duvall, and speaking of Duvall, gets our Volkswagen drive of the game for this blast in the 5th inning. His 3rd home run of the year. Just gets over the yellow line, costs the fan a pair of sunglasses, and it tied the game 1-1. Our Volkswagen drive of the game. That came in the 5th. Caleb Cotham now up and throwing in the Reds bullpen. Into the shift, and Tomlin hustling down the line Duvall, but he is out, so the Reds go in order for the 3rd time tonight. Off to the 8th we go. 1-1 the score. A great value this season, the Kroger Meal Deal. Check concession stands throughout the ballpark for the Kroger Meal Deal, which includes a hot dog, a bag of chips, 16-ounce Coke, and during this homestand, Blue Diamond almonds. Make sure to get your Kroger Meal Deal today. The pitcher on for the Reds, their third of this game. 28-year-old right-hander Caleb Cotham.
Cotham, of course, one of those pitchers that the Reds netted in return when they made a trade with the Yankees for Aroldis Chapman. Had a great spring training, had a 16-1 strikeout to walk ratio while the Reds were down in Goodyear, Arizona. And with the way the back of the bullpen has struggled, you know, the closer job right now up for grabs. You wonder if Cotham might be one of those guys under consideration. Here he is, tight ball game, high leverage situation, 8th inning, 1-1 game, and the middle of the lineup up.
Posey to bat first against Cotham. He got off to a terrific start during the regular season as well. In fact, through his first 8 games, he allowed 1 run. It was unearned. On his last 4, he's allowed 4 runs, all earned. Last time out against the Pirates on Sunday, he was charged with a blown save with allowed a run, 3 hits, and 1 innings worth of work. Cotham gave up the base hit in the 7th inning to Matt Joyce, who's really done a great job off the Pirates bench. Tied that game at 3 on Sunday. Posey tonight been on 3 times, a double, and a walk. Hard hit, but DeJesus will make the play. At the Reds and Fox Sports Ohio, I'd like to send out a special happy birthday tonight to George Bell. George celebrating his 95th birthday. Raised in Elwood, Indiana, served in the Army Air Force during World War II, stationed at Fort Lunkin right here in Cincinnati. Happy number 95 to George Bell. Hope we can get you a Reds win tonight, George. Pence is 1 for 3. RBI back in the first, drove in the only Giants run, his 23rd run batted in. Cotham gets ahead. Cotham, when he appeared in the game on Sunday against the Pirates, surpassed his total big league appearances of a year ago with the Yankees. He appeared 12 times with New York last year. Sunday was his 13th.
He was a starter coming up through the Yankee organization after the Yankees plucked him out of Vanderbilt. And never really found the kind of success that he had hoped to find, but when he was moved to the bullpen, he really took off.
Got ahead of Pence, but lost him. So that's a go-ahead run on here in the 8th. Remember to stay with us after the game and every Reds game here on Fox Sports Ohio. Or Reds Live postgame brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Wrap up of the game, interviews down on the field if the Reds pull out a win, or in the clubhouse with Jeff Pecoro. Reds Live postgame right after the contest. now is Brandon Belt. Belt has walked and flied to left twice.
Nice little slider there on a fastball count. That is a gutsy pitch, but it's a pitch that's necessary when you have a guy like Brandon Belt. Plenty of power to hit one out of here and change the course of this game. Looking for a fastball on a 2-0 count. Belt is kind of an old-fashioned type of left-handed hitter. I mean, he likes that pitch down and in, and he will golf it to right field. Tied him up with that one. That was a nice pitch too.
Lamb 6 and Groney 1. Cotham now here in the 8th inning. Now he's in danger of walking back-to-back hitters. Cotham's spot due up second in the bottom of the 8th. Leaded first by Pence.
I would imagine that they're going to go ahead and run Pence here on a 3-2 count. So you throw over once, maybe you just shorten up his lead just a little bit.
Pence is indeed on the move. Hard hit, but foul pass first.
You know, you talk to the Giants people about Brandon Belt, they'll tell you he's just a good old country boy. Came up through the Giants organization, 28 years old now, from Nacogdoches, Texas. Married his high school sweetheart. And they have really believed in him and rewarded him with a long-term deal.
Pence running again, and the same thing, a hard foul ball pass first.
And really very distinct styles. I mean, you know, both Joey Votto and Brandon Belt play first base, but their batting styles couldn't be any more different.
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last time you saw Joey Votto hit 2 foul balls down the right field line? When he does that, it's a total mistake, and he'll tell you that his swing doesn't compute to pulling the ball. But Belt does that more often than not. This goes to show you there's room for different styles. Belt was drafted out of high school by the Red Sox, didn't sign, went to San Jacinto Junior College and then on to University of Texas.
Again, Pence running, and this ball shot into left field, down the line for a hit. Duvall cuts it off. Throw comes into third, now to second, and they've got him at second base. Out at second base is Belt. That's going to go 7-6-4. Interesting that DeJesus, when Duvall fielded that ball, was pointing to second to throw there, but Duvall threw to third base. The Reds get the out at second.
Really heads-up play by DeJesus right there. The Giants may take another look at this one. There's a lot of rustling around going in the dugout. But DeJesus knew that there would be a play at second base, that there was no play at third. And he fired it over there, seemingly getting the runner, but we're going to have a challenge to that call as a couple of umpires are heading to put the headphones on.
Again, it'll be the crew chief Jim Joyce and Marvin Hudson, the second base umpire who made the call.
We'll take another look. Is the tag by Brandon Phillips on the foot, on the shin, on the knee? Is it in time?
You know, it appeared initially like Brandon tagged him on the foot, but when you take a look at it slowed down, it almost looked like he missed the foot.
You know, it looked like the throw was there in plenty of time.
Yeah. If the call is confirmed, it'll be runner at third with 2 out. If it's overturned, Giants will really be in business. That angle, it looked like he missed his shoe.
I'll tell you, you know, in New York, they're looking at every angle possible, and we're showing you a pretty good one right there. And with the throw there in time, I'm not so sure that they got the tag on him.
Yeah, I agree with you. All the field was out. Giants took a look at it with their people down in the clubhouse.
And it's a huge call.
Yeah.
Because the difference is the second out of the inning and a runner at third, or the go-ahead run 90 feet away with just 1 out, where a lot more ways you can score from third with 1 out than you can from third with 2 outs.
Well, if this gets overturned, you got to look at what DeJesus did when Duvall fielded that ball out in left. He was pointing to second to say throw to second, but the throw instead came into third.
Yeah, I think, though, that when you're fielding a ball like that in the outfield, you're already, well, as you're fielding it, you know where you're going to throw the ball. You can't wait to field it and then look up and see where you should throw.
You can see DeJesus pointing to second.
It would have been a smarter play to throw to second, no doubt, because Brandon Belt never stopped. You know, the one thing that they were looking at in New York, if we could show that one more time from the same angle and slow it down, did his glove move? We're going to find out right now. He's out.
So the call stands out at second base. It'll go 7-6-4, 2 out.
Well, there's a glove move, and this is really what it all comes down to. If you're the umpire crew in New York, you take a look at that glove. Does it move at all as Brandon Belt slides down there with his foot? So that's a big break for the Reds. They get the second out at second, and they will walk Brandon Crawford.
He's on base now for the 3rd time, and it's going to come down to Kelby Tomlinson. A hit tonight and 3 trips. That was that bunt hit back in the 2nd. That put them at the corners with 2 out.
Now remember what Tomlinson did in the 2nd inning when he dropped the bunt down the 3rd baseline. And at that time it was kind of a sneak attack, and now you've got Suarez playing even with the bag at 3rd base to prevent that from happening again.
Big at bat in this game right here. Tomlinson against Cotham. Slowly hit. Going to be a tough play. Barehand pick. No throw. An infield single for Kelby Tomlinson. Pence scores, and the Giants have taken a 2-1 lead. Boy, that's a tough break right
Well,
now.
you've got the third baseman playing in, the shortstop playing back to cut off the angles, and he just hits the perfect swinging bunt.
Second hit for Tomlinson tonight. Neither of them made it out of the infield grass.
He had 2 hits last night.
Boy, boy. Now the batter is Gregor Blanco. Tucker going to go out there now, hand deliver the ball back to the Reds right-hander.
Well, it was a lot of bad luck right there with Tomlinson, you know, chopping that ball for an infield hit. But the bottom line, and I'm sure that this will not get by Brian Price, that the runner that came around to score Hunter Pence reached base with a 1-out walk.
Important to get this out here for Cotham. Eyes it a ball, a strike.
Streak continues. The Reds bullpen.
Sad but true story. 21 straight games now that the Reds bullpen has given up a run. Earned run. Trailing only the Indians of a dozen years ago. Pitcher spot next, and Samardzija is in the on deck circle, and the Giants have still not had anyone throwing down in their bullpen. '30th pitch now of the inning for Cotham. Of course, part of that deal, as Chris mentioned earlier, regarding the trade with the Yankees for Aroldis Chapman. Reds also received a highly touted starter, rookie Davis, a minor leaguer, Eric Jagielo, a third baseman, Tony Renda, an infielder, all in the Reds minor league system. And Chapman, pardon me, and Cotham. Toward right, that's a hit with the runners going at 3-2. A run will score, and it is 3-1 San Francisco. Crawford touches the plate. He and Tomlinson on the move on that 3-2 pitch, and it sounded like a broken bat hit for Blanco.
I think he did get in on him a little bit, but Blanco able to squeeze that between first and second. You know, it really hurts having only one left-hander in the bullpen. I mean, even if your bullpen is struggling, if you have some balance down there, you give your manager a little better opportunity to play some matchups. So you bring a left-hander in to face their left-hander, and you force the other manager to make a move, if he would do that. With Cingrani, the only left-hander in the pen, it's tough to use him as you would a normal left-handed only specialist reliever. Of course, if there were any left-handers that were major league ready down in the minor leagues, they'd be getting a look.
Runner takes off from first base. Now it's second and third with 2 out. It is a steal for Blanco. Into right. Long run, 3 Reds players, and nobody can get it. Votto had the best chance, reached out for it. He didn't get it. Bruce charging in, he didn't get it. Phillips out there as well. Samardzija has life. And he got it. Samardzija breaks the bat, slams it to the ground. Fans react. And the inning is over, but the Giants get 2. Here's a look at it again. Ohio is another great ticket offer for you tonight to come out and see Reds baseball. You can purchase lower level terrace line tickets for this weekend series against the Brewers for only $25. Go to Reds.com/FSOhio and use the code FSOhio. Come to Great American Ballpark this weekend for Reds baseball against the Milwaukee Brewers. I was going to say that Samardzija breaking that bat over his knee, reminiscent of former Red Glenn Braggs, but remember Braggs broke it on the backswing, not over his knee, although he certainly could have broken it over his knee.
Bo Jackson used to do it over his knee, right?
Right.
It's that football mentality.
Good point.
And you know what? I'm sure it's going to be replayed over and over again. But you got to kind of like a guy that has a little bit of motion going on out there. I mean, Bruce Bochy is allowing him to go deep into this ball game. He's only got 100 pitches. But he's showing the San Francisco Giants they did not make a mistake by committing a lot of money over a long time to him being a Giant.
He gets his 9th strikeout, a season high for him. He had fanned 7 his last time out against San Diego. This is by far his best outing of the year. As he works here in the 8th inning, he's allowed a run on 2 hits. And now Scott Schebler will bat for Caleb Cotham, who right now is the pitcher of record in this game for Cincinnati. Since the home run ball by Duvall in the 5th, 9 of 10 have been retired by Samardzija. Schebler checks in at just 180 with a homer and 8 runs batted in. Broke out of a dreadful slump of those 2 doubles on Sunday. Tops this ball to Belt. 2 out. Reds fans, if you can't watch the games on TV, you can now stream Reds games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store and download the free Fox Sports Go app. Log in and stream the Reds wherever you go. Tyler Holt now representing the top of the order. Remember, he took over for Billy Hamilton. Billy left the game in the middle of the contest with jammed left thumb. Holt fly to right is only AB tonight. Gives up 2 runs in 1 inning's worth of work tonight. So now he's given up 7 runs in his last 6 times out after giving up only 1 unearned run in his first 8 games. Holt shoots it into right. And the Reds have life here in the bottom of the 8th. Tyler Holt. He's on with 2 out.
Guy brings a lot of energy. I mean, you got to admit it, going all the way back to the very first game of the season when he made that diving play down the left field line, a game saver. Nice little inside out stroke. It's a base hit and thinking double the entire way. Took a big turn there, but you can tell that Tyler Holt really enjoys playing the game of baseball.
Sure can. Many have compared him to Ryan Friel. I think it's an apt comparison.
I mean, not that anybody else doesn't on this team. They all do. But, I mean, he just got the kind of personality that it shows.
Brings DeJesus to the play, representing the tying run. DeJesus 1 home run. That came in New York last Tuesday, a week ago today. 2-run home run against Bartolo Colon. Reds will have a new pitcher in the 9th inning. Question is, what will the score be?
I would say Samardzija has lost too much after 111 pitches. That last fastball measured at 96. It's about where he has been at the top end tonight.
Two and two. Pitches by inning now for Samardzija. Most he's thrown in any one inning was that first when he faced only 4 batters but threw 20. His season high is 117. That was 2 starts ago. Now he's gone full on DeJesus. Struck out Barnhart, retired the pinch hitter Schebler on a ground ball. Then the hit. Now he'll gear up for a 3-2 pitch here with Holt on the move from first. There he goes. Left-hander Javier Lopez throwing in the San Francisco bullpen. Should DeJesus reach, Votto is next. That's what we'd see. There's the Reds bullpen. Ross Ohlendorf on the left. Blake Wood on the right. There's Votto waiting to bat next, if given a chance by DeJesus. Hold off and running again. Slowly to the second baseman. The inning is over. Reds leave their 4th. And we go to the 9th. Giants still leading by a pair. Moment of the night. Cotham gets Samardzija on strikes. Samardzija not very happy about it. Crack of the bat over the knee. What we were talking about earlier, a Miller time moment, goes way back to 1990. Here's our man, Glenn Braggs, against Dave Stewart. And on the backswing, the follow through, that cracks. That's some power right there.
I think Glenn Braggs was still on the Reds caravan. I don't know if he went this year or not. A couple of years ago he came, and the pitcher that threw that pitch, Dave Stewart, of course, now the general manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
I tell you what, I was on the caravan tour with Glenn 2 years ago. What a nice person.
Great young man, really great. Still a young man too.
And he's in incredible shape.
Looks like he can still play.
All right, new pitcher on for the Reds in the 9th inning is Blake Wood. He gets the top of the Giants order. Span, Duffy, and Posey trying to keep it a 3-1 game. Span tonight 1 out of 4. team that'll be in here this weekend, the Milwaukee Brewers, at home against the Angels tonight. They have just taken a 5-4 lead in that game in the 6th inning. Reds can get the Angels to come back and win. The Reds come back here and win. They could jump ahead of that Milwaukee club. The National League Central, 4th. Two teams undergoing the same sort of remake of their ball club here in 2016. Two and two now to Span. Phillips played that well to his left, and they get Span at first base.
Nice play by Brandon Phillips, ranging far to his left to get to this ball. Remember, Span, leadoff hitter and center fielder. You better get rid of it in a hurry.
So 1 out now for Matt Duffy. Look ahead to the Reds' 9th. 3, 4, 5. Votto, Phillips, Bruce. Stay the way they are. More likely than not, the Reds will see Santiago Casilla again. There's the Giants closer. He worked last night, retired the Reds in order. Duffy hitless tonight, and in fact hitless in the series. He's 0 for 8 with a walk. Full count now. Strike 3 call. Duffy thought he had drawn a walk. Right arm of Chad Fairchild goes up. 2 out.
Pretty nice pitch right there by Blake Wood. Little comeback action on that fastball. Just caught the corner.
Two out for Buster Posey. Posey been on 3 times tonight. A couple of doubles and a walk. He's gone the distance so far, 8. That's his longest outing of the year. It matches his longest. He went 8 against Colorado in Denver back on the 12th of April. His second start. He allowed 2 runs, 6 hits in that game through 8. This one he's allowed 1 run and 3 hits. The season best 9 strikeouts. 115 pitches. Posey puts a charge in this ball into left center. That's going to be off the wall, and that's going to be a 3rd double of this game for Buster Posey.
a guy can hit, and he has spread them all over. One to left, one to right, and now one to center. The daily double.
Second career 3-double game for Buster Posey. Boy, the Reds need to get this guy pinched now in the worst way, trying to keep it a 2-run game. Drove in the Giants' first run back in the first inning, scored their second run in the 8th. He walked with 1 out, reaching against Cotham. One uncorked by Wood. That'll move the runner over to third. Field line and foul ball, says Jim Joyce, the crew chief. Boy, that was close. Wow. Two now to pinch. Make sure you're ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game with all the information you need with Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds Live pregame presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Again, no broadcast on Fox Ohio tomorrow, but back at it Thursday night against Milwaukee. Slowly hit right side. Phillips, Votto, out, inning over. Lakewood gets through it, hangs a 0. Bottom of the 9th, Reds down a pair. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio has been brought to you by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And may the force be with you this weekend when the Reds host Star Wars weekend here at the ballpark. Saturday, the first 25,000 will receive a Star Wars X-Wing fighter Mr. Redlegs bobblehead thanks to Dynegy Energy Services. Get your Star Wars weekend tickets for as low as $12. Call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. It is not Santiago Casilla that comes into the game, but instead the lefty Javier Lopez comes on in relief of Jeff Samardzija. Lopez worked 2/3 of an inning last night. Retired Schebler and Barnhart in the 6th.
Well, this is the one batter appearance for Javier Lopez. They've got Casilla up in the bullpen. Lopez is in there just to try to flip that breaking stuff up to Joey Votto here. It takes a big adjustment for Votto because remember the guy that he was facing previously, Samardzija, was throwing up to 96, 97 miles an hour. Lopez can barely break a pane of glass.
Votto lifetime 1 for 10 against Lopez. Now he's at 2-2. Joey tonight struck out, walked. Samardzija 8 innings of 1-run, 3-hit baseball as the Giants starter with a season-high 9 strikeouts. Now Votto is hit by the 2-2 breaking ball. He hung right in there. The tying run will come to the plate. Here comes Bochy.
But really, the main thing for Votto in this situation, down 2 runs, is get on base. At first, he didn't think to knock it out of the way. Then halfway there, he realized that ball can hit me, and it probably won't hurt too much. So he takes one for the team and gets the leadoff runner on.
Here comes the Giants manager, and here comes Santiago Casilla into the game here in the bottom of the 9th inning. This is our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Giants appearing for the 3rd straight day is Santiago Casilla.
Well, he nailed down the save last night. He needed only 11 pitches to do that. 8 strikes, 2 swinging. And he has a very nifty 12-2 strikeout to walk ratio. This guy has been really the model of consistency over the last 6 seasons. He has had an earned run average of 2.8 or lower. Major League time spent with the Giants, and before that, the Oakland A's.
He'll deal with Brandon Phillips here with Votto aboard at first base. Nobody out. Brandon in this game has a hit. He's 1 for 3. Hits have been at a premium for the Reds tonight. They have just 3 of them. 2-out 4th inning single by Phillips. A home run by Duvall in the 5th that tied the game. A 2-out single to right by Holt in the 8th. Votto hit by a pitch at 2-2 to start this ninth. Garcia in there now. And a ball and a strike count on Phillips. Did he go? He did, according to the home plate umpire, Chad Fairchild.
Well, Brandon's upset because he would rather have Fairchild not call that a swinging strike, but rather go to first base and ask for an opinion of Jim Joyce. But once you make the strike call, the decision has been laid down and you can't go to first base.
Now Brandon in the hole, 1-2.
Garcia throws a fastball around 94-95. It's got great sink on it. He also throws a slider and a curveball. Does really not throw any kind of a changeup or a split finger pitch. There's the curve at 80. The slider will be around 89.
Two in the 8th by San Francisco gave them the lead. RBI infield single by Tomlinson. Single to right produced another run by Blanco. Now the Reds trying to play catch up here in the bottom of the ninth. Toward second base. 1-2. Double play. The second double play that Phillips has hit into this year puts the Reds in the precarious position of being an out away, dropping this game against San Francisco. Here's Bruce, 0 for 3. ball and 2 strikes. Just does get a piece of that ball. Shift on against Bruce. 3 infielders on the right side. He hits it into the shift. Tomlinson to Belt. And the Giants have won the first 2 games of this 3-game series here at Great American Ballpark. Final score tonight, the Giants 3 and the Reds 1. So the Giants win last night 9-6. Bit of a high scoring game tonight. Good pitching really from both starters. Samardzija on the Giants side, Lamb making his season's debut on the Red side. The Giants get the deciding runs in the 8th. They win it 3-1. Stay with us now. Reds live post game coming up next.